Welcome to Kathryn Raaker's World. Innovation, culture, adventure, fashion and health, artists, destinations, traditions. This is Kathryn Raaker's World.
Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of Kathryn Raaker's World. Today we have a very special guest, and I'm honored to tell his story. We have 7, that's his name, 7, for the 7 bridges under Atlanta. We'll be talking about his life, his mission, his book, and everything about him and about his people that he takes care of and mentors. I want to welcome to our show, and he's been on our radio show as well, 7. And I know you as Pastor 7, so I hope you don't mind if I call you Pastor 7.
That's fine.
And then you can call me Kathryn.
Okay.
Okay, is that a good deal?
That's a deal, Kathryn.
Welcome to our show. It's
Thank
good
you.
to meet you in person.
Finally, yes.
I love your tattoos.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to get them?
Well, this is not all the tattoos I have.
That's scary. I
Yeah.
don't need to know where
No,
the rest
okay.
of them are. Okay.
There's plenty more.
Oh, there's plenty more right where they came
Yeah.
from. Let's talk a little bit about your life and how this whole ministry started. So let's talk about you growing up for a little bit. What happened to you? How God touched you, and your mission. So let's start with that.
Okay.
So you grew up where?
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta. And happy family? What?
Very,
me.
very dysfunctional.
What do you mean by dysfunctional?
My father was he was a POW in Germany for 2 years, so he was not totally equipped to raise children. He was very mean, very brutal. Even one time when I was age 3 years old, he hit me. Back in my day, it was a big old corn broom. I don't know if y'all ever seen them. They got the big old sticks on them.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's the old ones. Well, I got hit beside my right ear when I was 3, and till this day I can't hear on my right ear.
Wow.
But that's what I mean by dysfunctional. My mother, she tried, but she couldn't, and they just could never get it together. And they divorced, and like I said, it was very dysfunctional. And
So what happened to you when they divorced?
well, my sisters and brothers, a couple of them went with my dad, and I stayed with mother, and she just broke wild and doing the things that people does in the world, going to bars and leave me with my little brother, my little sister.
Were you the oldest of that part of the family?
Yes, ma'am.
You were. So you were pretty responsible.
Pretty,
Yes.
pretty much. Didn't want it, but it just got thrown in my lap,
So when did you leave?
I left home when I was 10 because of the abuse that I was going through with her boyfriends and then her husbands that she'd be marrying after, her and my dad divorced. And they was pretty brutal with me. I'm very headstrong anyway already, so
You are?
yeah, pretty much. I think it's a gift from God, without a doubt.
Right.
I
It
don't-
protected you in some respects, right?
Yes, ma'am, it has, yeah. So at age 10, I was just took enough of the beatings and stuff from stepfathers, and I left home and wound up down there on Jonesboro Road in the woods beside the Thrift Town grocery store, and built me a little hut beside the creek, and that's where I lived for the next 2 years.
Nobody found you?
Nobody found me.
So what did you do for those 2 years?
Oh, built me a hut by the creek. That's where I took my bath and washed my clothes. And in the mornings, I'd go and to Thrift Town. I'd do a little panhandling, trying to get some money from people and to eat whatever. And that wasn't working out too good. So then I started watching the apartment complexes where the people live at. And I'd catch them going to work now, break in the apartments and steal me some food. And I'd take it back down to the creek, and and that's where I stay.
So that lasted till you were 12.
Till I was 12.
Then what happened?
One Sunday morning, I was hungry.
You were hungry.
Yeah, so my mind was on food. I wouldn't see nothing around me, whatever. But I walked up to the store right next to where I was at, and Lord behold, there stood my mother, Atlanta PD, and my stepfather. I bumped right into them. Don't even know how it happened, and that's when I started doing time. Of course, they took me to juvenile at age 12.
They took you to juvenile
Took me straight. Yeah, had me
because they were there.
Yeah, my mother, the way they finally caught me, because I was a runaway. I was, school truancy, unguttable. They got me for all kind of stuff.
So you went into juvenile, and how long were you in juvenile?
Until I was 14.
Did you become hardened then?
I was full of pain. Anger was my driven strength I had. Just whenever I got angry, I just went destructive. And, so, yeah.
So then at 14, what happened then after that situation?
When my father got in the picture, he tried to, and after all these years, so he come and got me and got the judge to release me to him. So he took me to Manchester and got down there with him, and I hated my dad. I hated my mom. I hated him. I didn't want nothing to do with him. So that night he went to sleep, and I took off again and went back to where I was, and started stealing and everything, just trying to survive. Mm-hmm. And finally, I'd done too much and got hooked up with people in there, and wound back up in juvenile again. And so I had to go in front of the judge, and at the age 16, that's when he told me, he said, "I've had enough out of you, Mr. Wells." He said, "You have a choice, either 5 years in state prison, or you go in armed forces. Which one you want?"
Which one did you take?
Army.
Okay.
And I couldn't even read and write. I didn't even sign my name. The drill sergeant did that. The staff sergeant at the recruiting office, he signed my name.
So you got an education? No. You did it without anything? How did that work out?
Pretty good, because I'm very gifted in watching and learning quick,
Mm-hmm.
and so I pick up on things. And, I didn't learn how to read and write until 1998.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
All my life.
All your life. What does it feel like not to be able to do that?
There was always something missing. I even knew that my strength was my anger, and fighting in the tough men contests and hurting people and doing the things I've done in my past, and that was my driven force. And even when I went into the military, I mean, I was already bad enough as it was, but when I went in there, they just really trained me and had me believing that I was a weapon. And, and as a child, I believed everything they was teaching me. And so they turned on this switch inside of me that, even when I got out, they didn't teach me how to turn the switch off. So.
Do you think during that period of time, from the time that you were small, I mean, your father definitely had PTSD today. Yeah. We would know that. Do you believe that that's part of what you had?
I don't really know.
Because abuse can cause it as well.
Yeah.
And cause the anger. And back then, during that period of time, with all that anger, you were able to control it while you were in the service?
To a point, because yeah, Drill Sergeant Hickenbotham, he was a very much loving drill sergeant.
That's good.
Yeah, so he took a special liking to me.
Did he mentor you?
Kind of, sort of. He wanted to see me reach a point that the others wouldn't go to, and I went there. Learning the hand-to-hand combat and the M60 machine guns and the power surge. Hand grenades and all that just thrilled me. So I mean, I was gun ho in it.
You were gun ho.
Yeah, I had that power.
Now, how old were you when you left the military?
Left in 75. Went in the last part of 69, 1970 is when I went in.
So what happened after that?
I became a very bad person. Come out lit up, knowing what I knew and how to hurt people, and still had the anger issue, and hurt a lot of people. Got wrapped up into a lot of stuff I shouldn't have got wrapped up into.
Now, you said you got married at one point?
Twice.
Twice. They believed in you.
Kind of.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, the first wife, it was more of a, even in my anger and stuff, I mean, one time I done something, this guy, he was coming at me with a shotgun in the middle of the street, and he done got me mad, so when I get mad, my anger's rolling, and I don't let nothing stop me, so I went to him, and he didn't pull the trigger, so I took the shotgun away from him, and I beat him up with it. And then I went to jail.
Of course.
And then this young lady, and my first wife, she took her paycheck and went and got me out of jail and posted my bond. Her mother got mad at her, and then she didn't have nowhere to go. She kicked her out, so I let her move in with me and my cousin. And we was just friends, and that's all it was. And she had a little girl and a little daughter, just a baby. And we, I kind of felt sorry for her. So I didn't want her daughter growing up without a dad.
So you married her.
So I married her.
How long did that last?
We tried to keep it together about, I reckon, 10 years. But
10 years?
Yeah.
But I can understand.
Yeah, it didn't work.
So then what happened after that? You were working or something, right?
No, I've been in drugs and selling drugs and everything all my whole entire life when I got out of service. That and just hustling and doing the things I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then after that 10 years, what happened? Did you get married again? Did you go back into jail? What happened?
I broke wild again, and once I got divorced from her, and just doing the things I was doing in cocaine world, and doing the lifestyle that I was doing, and doing pretty good at it. Never wanted for anything because the drug world took care of me. I always told everybody I was Satan's right-hand man, because anything that has to do with power of darkness, I was involved in it, and that's in destroying people's lives, drugs, alcohol, whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, I became an alcoholic. I was drinking probably a fifth of absolute vodka a night.
Wow.
I was staying up 8, 9, 10 days at a time on meth.
Wow.
OD'd on cocaine in 1983. Stayed in ICU 4 days. So drugs was pretty much my world.
So where, you got married again,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happened?
I was on a rebound.
Okay.
I just come out of the hospital and got one of my girls bring me some clothes because, I knew I was going to jail.
Uh-huh.
So I escaped from the hospital, and so I was trying to recruit and try to get off the cocaine and not do no more drugs for a while.
Right.
And then one of my buddies come over. He was a police officer in Forest Park where I lived at. He come over to get some money from me, and I've always took care of him, so I had plenty of money. So as I was going to give the money, he brought his wife, and then his wife had a girlfriend with her. So he told them to stay in the truck. Well, it just so happened she had to use the restroom. So she come in and asked if she used the restroom, and I said, sure. I looked at her. She was very lovely, very beautiful. So when she went back to the truck, I said, Robert, who was that? He said, that's Linda. I said, wow. I said, she's beautiful, young lady, He said, yeah, don't get your mind there. She's already married. Her husband's in France. She already has a daughter and all this stuff. But next thing I know, maybe 2 days went by, and I got invited to Robert's house, and she wanted to meet me.
Mm.
And we met, and we stayed together ever since. After through her divorce with her husband, and then we had my son. Mm-hmm. And we left here and went to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where he was born at. Mm-hmm. I've owned different kind of construction companies, Wells Darnell Construction. Mm-hmm. I built log homes all of Eastern Seaboard. I've been involved in a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And on that note, we need to take a short break.
Let's do that.
Do you want to give your website so people can go to your website?
Sure.
So would you mind doing that?
Sure. 7 Bridges, that's the number 7 Bridges to Recovery at gmail.com. .org is the webpage.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Ballerina. Sometimes all it takes to be a dad is remembering how to be a kid again. Take time to be a dad today.
We're back with Pastor Seven, and the most wonderful story, wonderful life in a sense, because There's been pain, there's been abuse, and it's brought you into a new world. But I want to tell the rest of the story and then get into your ministry, if that's all right with you.
That's fine.
Okay. So, you got married the second time to this beautiful woman. How long did that last?
Probably, let me think. My son was 3 when I went back under the dark side. So I'm gonna say it was probably 7 years, maybe.
Now, you had a construction company during that period of time. You were building houses. What got you back into drugs again?
It was just a front. I was smart enough out of all the crime and everything I've done. She didn't even realize what I was doing.
She didn't.
No, I bought her a brand new home in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and she just thought I was a construction worker, and I was very smart and intelligent and how to build things. So it was a front. I was always running drugs, always.
What was the attraction of drugs? The money?
Money,
And
power.
Power, money. Were you also taking the drugs as well at that time?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you were hooked?
Yeah.
Okay. So my next question is, when she found out, what happened?
She freaked out, because she thought I was just a normal,
Ordinary person?
ordinary person, and I was a husband and a father of my son and stuff. But when I told her, we had to move back from Winston-Salem because a lot of stuff went down and went bad. So I had to just leave the home and everything. So we loaded up and moved back to Georgia. And my son was just a baby. And finally it just got so bad and so dark in my life. I had to sit her down one day and tell her I needed to divorce her. Not because I didn't love her, because I still love her to this day. And we're best friends.
Oh, you are?
Yes, we're best
Oh,
friends.
that's great.
And but to save her and my son, I had to divorce him and walk away from him because I got so deep into my nonsense, and I had to save him.
So when did you go back to prison again? Because you were in prison quite a few times.
Yeah.
You must have liked it. No,
I didn't.
No, you didn't. But I'm just saying.
No, but 92 is when I went back in the last time and wound up at USP Atlanta.
And what's USB Atlanta? I don't
That's
know.
the United States Penitentiary.
Penitentiary.
Yeah.
That's where the rough guys are, right?
Yes, ma'am. 65-foot walls.
65-foot walls?
Yeah, you can't see nothing but the sky.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you there, and when did everything change for you?
I was there for a minute and just doing what I've done to protect myself, and being involved in a prison, you have to be very protective of yourself because too many evil things happens. But I already had a reputation. It followed me everywhere I went, doing who I did and being what I was. And
Were they afraid of you?
one wasn't.
Oh, why? Did he hurt you?
Well, it's a story in prison. When you go in, I had long blonde hair and
Really?
long blonde hair, and I always kept it in a big old long ponytail, and I swung it around a lot.
What happened?
Well,
I mean with the hair.
I got in a fight, and I was whooping the guy, and he took my ponytail and like broke my neck. And it was just a freak accident, him doing that, and he kicked my butt. I mean, So that night I went back in my cell and I took my shank and everything, broke it down and shaved my head.
And you didn't let it grow back anymore?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
And I went back out the next morning and I said, let's do it again. Let's dance.
So you had a reputation in prison.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was one prison.
Well, that's where everything started happening.
That's where everything started happening. It was right here in Atlanta?
With God, yeah.
With God. So what was the first thing? You were in solitary confinement, am I correct? Why were you in solitary confinement?
To be truthful with the whole situation is the marshals that got me, the FBI's, whatever, didn't like me, and so they made sure that they was trying to, I'm gonna say torture me and tried to make me break. because the law was only 15 days in solitary confinement. That's all they could do at a time, one inmate. But they put me in there, and they threw me in there and left me there for 60 days. Yeah.
Did they ever get in trouble for it? No.
No.
Okay,
There's things goes on inside of prisons
that you don't know,
Yeah.
right? That you don't want to know.
People don't know.
That people don't know.
If people did know, they would protest it.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask this question. After 60 days, were you broken? And what do you do for 60 days in solitary confinement?
Well, I thought I was having back flashes and all kind of stuff, seeing things go up and down the walls. I mean, just really get inside your head more than you normally should. But I had a very powerful encounter, and I've always tell people, Satan's real. He got kicked out of heaven. He brought 30 of the angels down with him, which now is a demon soldier. So they're real. They're alive. A lot of people don't talk about it, but I do it. I'm not ashamed of it. But that 60th day when I was in solitary, I had 5 death angels come into my cell, come to collect my soul to take me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they come to get me.
And so what happened?
Some reason or another, I don't know how, it was God. But I fell to my knees and I raised my hands, and as I raised my hands, I didn't know it was an act of worship because I couldn't read and write, whatever, and all I said was, "Hey, dude, I heard of you. I surrender." And that's all I did. And instantly, them demons gone. And I heard a voice whisper in my deaf ear, and he said, "I'll never leave you, never forsake you."
I've been carrying you all this time.
He's been with me. I've done been shot, stabbed, shanked, hit in the head with brass knuckles, beer bottles, bar stools. I've cut telephone poles down. I've crashed into Mercedes with my Harleys and all kind of stuff. I'm a walking miracle.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I like Footsteps in the Sand, the poem, because he's holding you and you don't know it.
Yep.
Am I right?
You're right.
Right. So, after that happened, you walked out after 60 days a changed person? Is it true that you were before that afraid to walk out of solitary confinement because of the people that were there that might hurt you?
It's possible.
Possible?
Possible, yeah.
Did they notice a change in you?
Oh, yeah. It even scared them worse. Yeah.
What did they say?
They thought I lost my mind, so they didn't nobody mess with me no more. They thought I really just lost my mind because I come out telling about the deaf demons, and I was telling them about the voice I heard in my right ear, and so I was telling Lawrence last night that I went to the Native Americans and I became a Native American spiritual lifter. I was a Tewankatonka. I lift all the prayers up to Tewankatonka. I got hooked up with the Muslims, the Nation of Islam. So I'm trying to find who was this God, Jesus, that whispered out in my ears because I didn't know who he was. And then next thing you know, they start shipping me around, and I wound up in prison in Oklahoma City, to Guanabo, in federal prison, Puerto Rico. And then there's where I had my second encounter with God.
What happened this time?
Well, there was an incident that happened. I never tried to befriend anybody. That's not
you.
That was not
not you.
No. And so the guy next to me in the next cell, he kind of befriended me. He's from Colombia because we had islanders. I mean, everybody from every Caribbean island you could imagine was in that Guanabo. Someone was in there and already had triple lives and still had 12, 13 murders pending on them. I mean, it was a filthy place. It was just
scary,
wild.
Scary.
Yeah, it was very wild. And this guy, he tried to befriend me, and I kind of just opened up to him a little bit and let him talk to me, whatever, And then one night, they had to take him out to for emergency surgery. Something erupted, gallbladder, whatever, I don't remember what it was. But there's a rule that the COs has to do whenever a prisoner's taken out. They never unlock, when they unlock the whole tier block, they never unlock the door that somebody had to go out to the hospital, whatever. Well, they did. They opened them all up. So I'm coming out for chow, and as I come out for chow, there was 5 inmates coming out of his cell, and they're robbing him. And they have taken all his stuff. And so they looked up at me and said, "You say anything, we kill you." And I go, "Hey, my name's Bennett, I ain't in it." I said, "No problem. No problem with me." So I'm going downstairs, mind my own business, and I'm eating. And little time passed by, and I heard, that the guy was coming back in, and I heard the inmates was talking about killing him. They were going to kill him. And so and when I heard this was happening, and again, you couldn't say nothing, but when they brought him in and I seen him coming, I jumped up from the table because I was eating, and I went running to the COs, and of course I don't speak Spanish, and I was saying, lock him down, they're going to kill him, lock him down, they're going to kill him. And so the COs knocked me down, and he started beating on me, and I'm trying to tell him, hey, I'm trying to save that man's life, it was crazy. And so finally they locked him up, and everything passed over. I didn't get put in the whole solitary thing no more, so they said, okay, we're sorry, we didn't mean to beat you up and all this stuff. And so I went back to my cell, and washed my face there in front of the sink, and beautiful stainless steel mirrors we have, stainless steel sinks. So I'm sitting there washing my face, trying to freshen myself up. And then my cellie said, hey man, he said, they're coming in here to get you, and they're going to kill you. I said, really? Okay. So I stood there in front of the mirror, and I just went back to my rage, and I ripped my shirt off, and I hit the sink, and I said, all right, they're going to kill me, I'm going out fighting. And I already had premeditated murder inside my head. I said, I'm going to go outside my cell, grab that trash can. I done got everything pictured, everything focused, what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a trash can, I'm going to mow them down and get them down, and I'm going to break their necks. And so, I was just in a rage. And so when I opened, here's the powerful thing about it, though. When I opened that door, and I had my shirt already ripped off, and I was just pumped. But as soon as I stepped outside my cell, God touched me from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, lifted my finger. He just took over me like I was a puppet. I walk over to the leader of the clique, and I said, you and me need to talk. They tripped out because I approached them. And he said, okay. So we go down to the washroom. We walk in by ourselves, me and him. And I looked at him and I said, let me tell you something. I said, you and your men can bring harm to me, but I warn you not to. I'm a child of God. And I said, eyes are window to the soul, and those you just knows. So look at me now as I tell you, you bring any harm to me, you don't have to worry about the wrath of God that comes to you. I don't even know where that come from. I don't even know where it come from. It's just God was moving on me. He said, you God man? I said, yeah, I'm a God man. Don't want no problem with God man. No problem with God man. I said, you step outside and you tell the rest of them. So after that, they started calling me Poppy, number one, all kind of stuff. Yeah.
And on that note, we're going to end the first part of this series of Pastor 7 with the last, the lost, and the least, the beginning of your story. And if you give your website out so where people can go and buy the book, our second part series will be in the following weeks.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I am blessed to know you.
I'm blessed just to be with you.
Thank you. Would you give your website, please?
Sure. That's sevenbridges2recovery.org is the webpage. The website or email to get in touch with me is sevenbridges2recovery@gmail.com.
Thank you for joining us today on Kathryn Raaker's World. Don't forget to tune in next time for the second edition of Pastor 7's life, the last, the lost, and the least, and find out how he changed his life to follow God and to minister to others.